for remote hearings. Only speak when invited by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communication via the chair. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you're not speaking. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated time frames. If referring to any written submissions, please refer to the specific page number in the agenda pack. Any new evidence can only be submitted at the request of the chair and the agreement of all parties. If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat function to alert the meeting or dial in using the details in the invitation. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Once the application has been considered, any remaining parties will be asked to log out of the hearing. Please do so promptly so that councillors will have the opportunity to deliberate and make a decision. Each party will be notified of the decision within 5 working days. However, if you contact the licensing service the following day, you will be given a skeleton decision. Can I go to the first item on the agenda? Can we elect a chair, please?
Yes, I would like to elect Councillor Gilbert-Smith as the chair. Thank you.
I second that.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and welcome to Amanda.
Good afternoon, Chair. I just wanted to quickly mention that we have 2 applications this afternoon. I don't know whether or not it's appropriate for the parties for the second item to either, if they wanted to come back in half an hour whilst the first item is heard, they can do so. I don't know if you want to suggest that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good idea if the parties for the expedited review or summary review want to leave and come back in half an hour. Is that a good idea? People want to do that?
Yes, thank you very much. Forgive me, I'm acting for the Queen of Hoxton. So yes, we could have spectated, but we'll get a coffee instead and come back in half an hour.
Okay, brilliant, great.
Thank you.
So all of those involved with that, if you could just turn your cameras off so I know that you are not there. Brilliant. That's great. Okay, so everyone with cameras on should be relating to this first item. But anyway, look, welcome everyone and Happy New Year to you all. Let's hope 23 will be better than 22. So welcome to this licensing subcommittee meeting, Thursday the 12th of January, 23. Licensing Subcommittee D. You'll see the agenda in your pack online or hard copy. It's just on the inside sleeve there. So agenda item 1, we've had the election of chair. We've done that. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. We haven't received any today. Agenda item 3 is declarations of interest, please, from members. Any declarations of interest that you've got to declare today?
No, none.
No, none.
Fantastic. Agenda item 4 is minutes of the previous meeting, and there are no minutes for consideration today. And then agenda item 5 is I just go through the hearing procedure for the meeting, which you should all be quite familiar with because I recognise quite a number of you there. But I'll go through it very quickly anyway. Step 1 is the appointment of chair. We've done that. Step 2, the licensing officer will outline the report. Step 3, the applicant will present their case in support of their application. In fact, what I did forget to do actually is to go around the virtual room just to introduce ourselves. Shall we do that? And then I'll go back to the hearing procedure. So I'm Councillor Smith from Stoke Newington Ward and Chair of Licensing. Councillor Susan Runge.
I am the councillor for Hackney Central and a member of the Licensing Committee.
Fantastic, thank you. And Councillor Garbutt.
Hi, I'm Councillor Garbutt, councillor for Dalston Ward and member of the Licensing Committee.
Thank you very much. Amanda.
Good afternoon. I'm a solicitor from Legal Services supporting members this afternoon. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Suba.
I'm Subhashri Ramana, Principal Licensing Officer. Thank you.
And Rabia. You're on mute there.
Sorry, I'm Rabia Hatton, the Governance Officer.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And then we have Channing.
I'm Channing Riviere, Principal Licensing Officer representing the Licensing Authority.
Brilliant. And Graham.
Good afternoon, Chair. Graham Hopkins, GT Licensing Consultants. Mr. Erdogan is with me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hopkins. And then finally, I think on there we've got Amanda. Is that PC Griggs?
Yes, it is, Chair. Amanda Griggs here from behalf of the police licensing for this first application.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. And sorry for forgetting to do that at the start. So just on the hearing procedure, we got to step 2. So the licensing officer will outline the report. Step 3, the applicant will present their case in support of their application. And then we have responsible authorities which come in, and any other persons, which I don't think we have today. Just let me check my notes. There's so many papers around the place that it's kind of ridiculous, but I don't think we've got any other persons today. Is that right? Yes, no other persons. Okay. Environmental health today, I'm not sure if they're going to be with us. Can someone confirm if that's the case?
Yes, Chair. I can see George in this meeting.
Is George here? Oh, sorry, I can't see him. Well, thank you for that. George, apologies. I didn't see you on the call. Well, actually, I thought because your camera was off that you were part of the other session. So, George, do you want to come in and just introduce yourself briefly there? Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Can you see me now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is George. I'm the Environmental Protection Officer.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, George. So, yes, responsible authorities. We have the police and George today to speak to this. And then we will go into step 6, which is a discussion phase. All the other stages are 5 minutes. The discussion phase will be 15 minutes roughly. Step 7, closing remarks. Step 8, final points of clarification if necessary. And then that'll be the meeting closed at that point, and those participating will leave, and then we will go on to consider this. And you should receive a decision within 5 days, or you can phone the office tomorrow for a decision. Okay, so moving swiftly on to step 2, if the licensing officer could please outline the report for this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the first item we are going to consider this afternoon is for the variation of premises license under the Licensing Act for 424 to 426 Kingsland Road to extend late night refreshment and supply of alcohol for on and off sales, and to include regulated entertainment as stated within the report. Since the draft of this report, the applicant has submitted additional information in which they have proposed some condition and reduced the licensing activity hours until 30 past midnight, Sunday to Wednesday, until 1:30 a.m., Thursday to Saturday. And this document has been circulated. Representation remains from Environmental Protection, Police and Licensing. I would like to also clarify that there is an error within the report. The premises is actually located in the Dalston Special Policy Area. I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Suba, for that and your clarification on the SPA. So this is within the SPA, although in the packet says at the start it's not, but it actually is. So apologies for that mistake there. Okay, I think we can move straight on here to the applicant, Mr. Hopkins, I believe. That'll be you.
Yes, Chair, it is.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Hopkins, you've got 5 minutes to outline your case and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Very simply, Faulkner's is a long-established fish and chip restaurant in Dalston, been there 40 years. Mr. Erdogan, our client, the applicant, has owned it for the last 20 years and tongue-tied today, successfully run the business with no issues arising as far as we're aware with the police, licensing or other RAs. Just to give you a background, it's got covers inside for 55 to 60 people, 12 at the outside tables and chairs, and there's a separate takeaway counter for walk-in orders, customer collections, etc., and home deliveries. The deliveries are all by delivery riders or drivers, but predominantly, I'm told, the delivery people, Uber, etc., use electric bikes or motorcycles. Mr. Erdogan has been open about the reasons for asking for the variation. Obviously, wants to improve his business offer, make the business more viable following COVID, the increased costs under Brexit, and with the financial crisis of his food prices, fuel costs, etc. And these have impacted on the business. Appreciate you can't take that into account, but that's the background to it. So he's been open and honest with us. Faces competitions from other local businesses, and the local businesses, some we're told, trade later. So no doubt in my mind that later hours will improve the viability of Faulkner's and allow people to go out, especially as more people do go out at weekends now and socialise later. This Brand Business, I can tell you, is conditioned as a restaurant. That condition is remaining. We had a virtual meeting yesterday with PC Griggs and Mr. Revere and had a full discussion about that. And as far as I'm aware, I mean, obviously my client is fully aware of the Dalston CIZ. He's been there 20 years and brings that experience and that knowledge to this application. I can be honest with you and say that from the time he asked us to represent him, he listened to our advice. We've engaged with the responsible authorities, and I thank them for their engagement with us. We have proposed, and I don't propose to go through them, I'm sure you've seen them, the full list of revised conditions, the reduced opening times, which I would submit to the committee, are not unduly late for a restaurant in this day and age, especially in an area like Dalston, which is a busy area. And with a multicultural society, we have to take into account that different cultures like to go out later at weekends. But even our own young generation now are going out later and staying out later. But I don't want the panel to think this is going to impact on the CIZ or the spa, because it is remaining conditioned as a restaurant. If they don't have a meal, they don't have a drink. It's as simple as that. So that all remains in place. We have asked for the off hours, and we want to keep the off hours, but that would be to accompany a substantial meal, and it's limited in what they can have. We've also, and it's didn't get put in the report, unfortunately, we have removed the request for plays and anything similar to E, F or G. We don't think that's required, and we didn't want to complicate things. So you've got the revised conditions you've been told about, the full list of measures we're proposing, the outside tables and chairs. The council actually gave Mr. Erdogan a licence till 12 o'clock midnight for the tables and chairs, but we're removing those at 2200 hours, 10 o'clock every day. So that won't lead to an increase in public nuisance. Proposed a dispersal policy, which hopefully you've got. So I amended that further last night following emails with Mr. Wakarak to address concerns about that we discussed with the police and licensing yesterday as well, to address concerns about riders and drivers. But as Mr. Erdogan's told me, most of the collections, the home deliveries, are by electric bikes or motorcycles. So that will be addressed. Maximum of 6 smokers, no bottles outside after at any time except for the tables and chairs, and none at all after 10 o'clock. Proposing a noise limiter, doors and windows closed, noise patrols, etc. You've got there, and an ongoing daily risk assessment taking into account advice from the police. I would suggest, Chair, that with the proposal that this remains fully as a restaurant, off sales ancillary to food as well, reduced hours, that this, that reassurance is there for the panel to see that this will remain purely as a restaurant. I can say, having been there and seen the customers in an afternoon, a lot of people weren't actually drinking. They just go there to have food and to socialise. Now, Mr. Erdogan will be running some events at weekends. I don't think there's anything there to alarm you. We're talking about birthday parties, small Christmas parties. They do have meze nights, but most of the events will fall on a weekend. So I think with the amended hours, additional conditions that I believe we reached a considerable measure of agreement on with the police and licensing yesterday. Hopefully, although I haven't been able to speak to Mr. Wakarak personally, we have exchanged emails. I took account of his concerns about the delivery riders. We've amended the dispersal policy so that staff will actually engage with them, make sure they turn their engines off, etc. That we could ask you to consider this an exception to the policy and to grant the amended variation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. That was 5 minutes and 37 seconds. That was pretty good. Whereabouts in relation to the delivery drivers in the dispersal policy? What number is that? Do you know which number it is?
I think it's condition 8, Chair.
Condition 8. Oh, maybe that was one that was forwarded. Oh, it's in the back. It's on the back of the paper.
It's on the addendum, yeah.
Notice will be promptly displayed to the exit, reminding customers who drove to Faulkner to respect residents, not to bang car doors and stuff. I'm not sure if it explicitly mentions delivery drivers though on here.
Sorry, I may have given you the wrong number. Yes, it does. It's condition 9 or point 9. It
Condition
goes on
9.
to, yeah, and it goes on to say, member staff, I think I've got the old one, but the amended one I put in does actually refer to
Okay, so
addressing
maybe I'll
the
put the
delivery
old one as
drivers.
well, because 9 doesn't mention delivery drivers. Amanda, can we just note that we need in the condition, we do need to mention delivery drivers and, you know, kind of communication with them.
Yeah, this is the old one. I didn't pick the other one. Yeah, I've sent another version in this morning, Chair. That's why.
Okay, brilliant. And members, do you have any points of clarification at this stage you'd like to come in briefly? Zoe.
Brief question. Thank you for that, Mr. Hopkins. Really helpful. Just if any temporary events notices have been used. It wasn't noted anywhere, so I just assumed not. I just wanted to check.
Not to my knowledge, Councillor, no.
Okay.
They did apply for one, but it was a late one and got stopped.
Okay, Councillor Sujarunga, any points
Yes,
of clarification?
very quickly, you mentioned children, and obviously with birthday parties, there will be children. Is there any policy conditions safeguarding that you would like to mention that you have in place or will be putting in place?
Yes, Councillor, I believe there's a condition proposed, or it's on the current licence.
Yeah.
After 10 o'clock, even if the children are with their parents, they have to go home. I think Mr. Erdogan would be amenable to saying no unaccompanied children after 8 o'clock. We would agree to no unaccompanied children after 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just let me write that down. Amanda, have you got that? Do I need to write that one down? Brilliant. Excellent. Okay, so if we're happy to move on, let's move on to the licensing authority, I think, need to come in now. So Channing, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You can see my representation on page 41 at Appendix B3. The representation was made originally based on what was submitted in the application and the fact the premises was in the Dalston Special Policy Area. Since then, we have had an email exchange and a meeting with the agent of the applicant. And we've come to, like, we do welcome the reduced hours they've offered. And we've come to mostly a consensus around what they've proposed, how they intend to operate. We especially welcome the fact that the premises will be remaining as a restaurant predominantly. And there probably is some points to clear up maybe around the delivery drivers. So maybe the committee, if they are minded to grant the license, maybe if the applicant was open to considering maybe reducing the hours for takeaway, if that was something to take into consideration.
Yeah.
Just because it's based in the SPA. But other than that, we're mostly happy with what they've proposed, and it's up to the committee to decide. Grant the license based on the extension of hours in the SPA.
Okay, great, Channing. When you say takeaways, are you referring to off sales as well, or just food takeaways?
I'm referring to both of them together. So,
right.
I mean, with the hours they've got now, if they was to, let's say, stop doing the takeaway deliveries at maybe 1 hour earlier, that might be something that goes towards promoting the licensing objectives, but that's at the discretion of the committee. Other than that,
I mean, I would be sort of a bit more keen to be following LP4, Mr. Hopkins. I don't know if you want to consider that. That would be to 11, but that may have implications for food, possibly. You can have a think about that anyway. You've heard what the licensing authority have said. You've got my view on it, so we can maybe find somewhere in the middle. Great. Any points of clarification there for the licensing team members? Zoe.
Just a quick one, just on my understanding of us speaking about it being now just mainly a restaurant, does that mean that maybe I need to ask this in a minute, about the plays and the other activities? Or when you say mainly a restaurant, Channing, are you just assured that it's just mainly everyone will be eating food? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that it's a seated table service remains. So if you go to the premises, you'll sit down at a table, you'll have a meal, and you may have a drink before or after the meal, but essentially the drink is ancillary to the food service.
Okay, brilliant. Happy, Councillor Sujarunga?
Could I ask Channing, are you satisfied that LP10 and LP11 are met?
With regards to the special policy area, I believe based on the track record of the operator, because both before lockdown and after lockdown, we haven't had a reason to have concern about the premises. So based on the track record of the operator, we believe that they can manage the premises correctly. It's just the extension of the hours.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That was very helpful, Channing. Thank you for that. Can I now bring in PC Griggs?
Thank you very much, Chair. Again, my initial representations are on page 39 of your bundle, and they obviously related to the initial application that meant later hours and included plays, etc., as well as other bits that have all now been removed. Following the discussions and what I asked for initially was a reduction in some hours, discussions, conditions and information and everything else, which is what has been provided. And discussions with Graham have allayed my concerns quite substantially. The fact that it's going to remain a restaurant, we've still got that ancillary condition that it has to have the meal there, so that's good. That helps our concerns. And as Channing said, it's been the restaurant's been there for 40 years, and the applicant running it for 20. And as far as we're concerned, we've not had an issue and had cause to go there from a licensing perspective, or for anything else that I know of that's certainly been raised to us and caused an issue. And so certainly welcome the reduction in hours that's been proposed and the additional conditions, as well as the removal of the outside seating area at 10 o'clock, which is earlier than they would need to do, which helps us as well. So as Channing, we're here still because it's in the special policy area, and it's up to the committee to make that decision.
Yeah.
But I say our concerns are definitely much more allayed than they were in the
Okay,
initial
great.
application.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, I did note your question, as the venue is a restaurant, why the range of regulated entertainment, that's been kind of explained away, but I would just like a bit of clarification on the regulated entertainment, Mr. Hopkins, because you have mentioned amplified music and live music, and another piece of music called Mayheng music, whatever that is. Maybe I've got that wrong, but I'd just like to get a little picture of any kind of entertainment that's going on, because obviously it's the background music. I think it was mentioned somewhere else in the report as well, that it would be background music because it's a restaurant rather than having like a live band or whatever in there. So just a little bit of clarification around what the premises owner is thinking of in those terms.
Yes, Chair, hopefully I can answer that. The request for plays and anything similar, as you heard, has been removed. I think that was
Dance?
more.
Dance been removed?
I've just agreed that with Mr. Erdogan. Performance of dance, yes, he was looking at possible Turkish dancers, but that's been removed. We're happy to take that off. So all we want to keep is the live and recorded music after 11. It's going to be the exception anyway. It's really just for the occasional party they may have. I think it's going to have meze evenings as well, but they'll be at weekend. We've offered the limiter, so it's not going to be loud anyway.
Yeah,
the
limiter works, as we've mentioned before in meetings. It kind of works for recorded music, but doesn't work as well for live music because you can't put a whole band through a limiter, if that makes sense.
He's got no intention of having bands, Chair. It would be like an acoustic guitar, I guess, or something like that, and a singer.
Okay, so it's a kind of it would be backgroundish kind of music, not kind of in your face sort of thing.
No, he's not having bands because obviously we've discussed the way that noise spreads, particularly through older buildings, etc. I mean, I can tell you the flat above is theirs anyway, and the other two are empty. But looking forward, he's mindful of the fact that we don't want the noise to carry away from the premises. We've got the double doors at the front anyway, so that after the tables and chairs are closed, that will be closed. So except for entry and egress, the doors will be kept closed, and he will do the noise patrols outside either side to make sure that there's no breakout. So we've offered those as conditions anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Mr. Hopkins, for that reassurance.
Thank you, Chair.
And George, finally, do you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. I've got two issues. Condition 9 about the delivery drivers. The condition doesn't go far enough. It should be amended how do you control the drivers? Is normally you can control them by restricting the hours they do and the numbers. Most of complaints we are getting now is about the delivery drivers having loud conversations outside the premises. Some of them are on the phone. And therefore, when I sent him an email yesterday to Mr. Hopkins, I was expecting him to kind of clarify that. But now that we are here, if you can be minded to kind of restrict the numbers that come to the premises and the time, as it was suggested earlier on, the cutoff time of about midnight for the deliveries would be a good, according to me. And the numbers of delivery drivers that can hang around the area. Normally, when we go through them, we agree to say when they come, they go inside and wait for the orders from inside. Because if you leave them outside, they're going to be having loud conversations and waking up the neighbors. I don't know how Mr. Graham intends to deal with that. The second issue that I've got is the live music. Is kind of explain it now, but that was a concern because live music doesn't go through the limiter. So he said that is going to be an acoustic guitar and probably a 2-band person or something. And therefore, my request is to kind of restrict the hours of that as well, not to go till 1 or 2 in the morning. That would help. And it should be conditioned so that it's not a proper band which is coming to play. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Mr. Hopkins, you've heard George there, which goes back to my point about LP4 and the off sales until 11. And the licensing was saying an hour earlier. Now George is saying 12. So we're kind of getting to a rough figure here of 12, I would suggest. Comments on that, number one. And then number two, your comments around the idea of restricted hours for music and, you know, not having a more than a sort of 2-piece musical outfit. That makes sense.
Chair, can I just ask for a minute to try and explain the latter part to Mr. Erdogan?
Yeah.
Because he didn't quite catch it.
Okay. So we'll just hang on, folks, for a second.
I think the second part, the live music, we'd like to keep the hours to at least sort of 1-ish, wouldn't we? But we would agree to limit the number of performers. Now, I know what George has said about the music going through, and I understand if it's unamplified, it won't go through the limiter. But if it's singers with a guitar, say, and they're singing for a microphone, my understanding is that can go through the limiter. But we would agree to limit the number of performers, maybe to 2, that sort of thing. But I think we'd like to keep it till at least 1 o'clock, wouldn't we? The music, because that's the whole purpose of asking for that extension, is to provide, rather than us have to do temporary event notice all the time.
Yeah, it is easy.
I was going to say.
Go
Sorry,
on.
Chair, I was going to say that Mr. Erdogan, I spoke to PC Griggs about that yesterday. He will be taking advantage of the approach to the police and it's necessary to George before putting in a 10 to cover it. And we will always be making sure the license conditions go on the 10. So we've got that reassurance. So we'd agree to maybe 1 for the live music. Yeah, that would be late enough. Two people. The drivers is a bit more contentious. I mean, we normally offer a condition, but bearing in mind he's got a separate takeaway area to the side, and you don't have to go into the restaurant to that. Just go into the counter, pick up the order. So the drivers predominantly will be on electric bikes or small motorcycles. They can't leave those running because I guess if you left them running, somebody pinched the bike anyway. But that's the possibility. They will be told and actually spoken to by the staff and asked if they've left their engine running. If it were a car or music on, they'll be told to go and turn it off. But we will keep the drivers inside the takeaway area whilst they collect. My only concern there is if he's got Uber Eats and Just Eats it's very hard to control the number of orders that come in, and how do you control the drivers and tell them to physically sit on their motorbike? We'd rather have them inside the shop, inside that front area waiting, but they won't be allowed to wait outside. Hopefully that helps some way.
Channing, do you just want to come back on the kind of delivery side of things, and even the off sales element again, to see where you're at with that? Are you happy that would go potentially until 1:30 on a Thursday, Friday?
Chair, I think if they are going to all come inside, that would go some way to mitigate, because they'll have to turn their vehicles off. So you'll mitigate some of the idling vehicles, and you'd mitigate some of the noise by the loud conversations, etc.
Yeah.
But with regards to the off sales, perhaps if it was limited to maybe a Friday and Saturday up to 1:30 and then pulled back on the Thursday, if that was something the committee or the applicant would be willing to consider, because it's generally accepted that Fridays and Saturdays may be a bit busier in the evenings.
Yeah.
So
were you
I'm just
considering
wondering-
12:30 before, Channing? Stopping
Well,
at
I was
12:30?
suggesting for Thursday I was suggesting 12:30 before.
Yeah.
Just for all of the takeaway, just to cease a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Depending on what the committee decides is
So
best.
what would be better for you? Would it be better 12:30 from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or 1:30 Friday and Saturday?
I think it would be better in general 12:30 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
But again, that is at the discretion of the committee.
Yeah. So, Mr. Hopkins, you've heard that one. Have you talked to your client about that?
Yes, Chair, I have mentioned it to Mr. Erdogan. He's concerned, and I can understand where Mr. Erdogan's coming from, that if we get different times for everything, it's going to make it overcomplicated. We would rather keep the home deliveries till the hours that are requested, especially on a Friday or Saturday, because that's their busy nights. And
we're talking
people
about
do-
alcohol off sales, though, here, Mr. Hopkins.
Oh, only just the alcohol. So they'd still be able to do the food deliveries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be able to do food till 1:30, but stop the off sales of alcohol at 12:30.
You mean the takeaway side? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Erdogan would agree to stop the alcohol off sales.
Yeah.
At 12:30, but we'd like the freedom to let people have food till 1:30, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Thank you for that one. That makes our life a bit easier. Okay. So I think we've heard from everyone, and now we can enter the discussion phase. So obviously, members, if you've got questions, points of clarification, it's now your opportunity to come in and investigate and interrogate. Anybody? Councillor Susan Runge.
Oh, I would just like to say that I think that if they take the opportunity to have acoustic music, a singer and maybe an acoustic instrument, and then keep the diverse menus such as meze, but also keep the fish and chips, I think that that's quite a unique approach, and that would make you quite a standout restaurant in the area, because no one else around is doing the same sort of thing. So I think that approach would be really a good business approach, as well as a unique selling point. I don't know. I do hope that you are keeping the fish and chips, because I have to say, and I have to declare an interest, I like to eat fish and chips in Faulkner's, but I also would like to eat meze as well, and listen to some nice acoustic music from all over the world. So if you're putting that forward, I think that would be a very good plan.
Thank you very much, Councillor Susan Runge, for that. And we have Councillor Garbett.
Thanks. I think most of my questions have been covered by the discussion. I think obviously the amended documents today, and just really grateful for all the representations and everyone kind of trying to work this through to find a common kind of ground. I think it would just be helpful for me if we just triple confirm what we're, maybe Mr. Hopkins, from your perspective, where we've got to with the hours. That would just be helpful for me, just to kind of confirm what your perspective is of where we've got to the hours, and then I think that was all my the only bit that's standing out.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Chair. Yes, the hours for what we're talking about, essentially food and on sales, would remain as per the amended request. I think it's 00:30 Sunday to Wednesday, isn't it? Or Monday to Wednesday. I've got confused now myself. For the first part of the week, and 1:30 Thursday through to Saturday, Sunday, I think we asked for. But off sales to stop at, as proposed, off sales of alcohol to stop at 00:30.
Yeah, but every night. Sundays actually
Yes.
until 00:30.
Oh, right, fair enough.
Sales of alcohol. I presume Channing on a Sunday you'd still be content with the off sale stopping at 12:30, would you?
Yes, Chair. I don't foresee any big massive issue with
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Yes,
I mean, and then music until 1. Councillor Garbett, 2 performers, off sales until 12:30, and food until the hours that are suggested, and drivers to go on the inside. So can
And then
we?
the chairs and tables back in at 10. I think that's
Yeah,
all the
yeah. So,
brilliant.
So
Thank you.
Amanda, have you got all of that? I mean, I've noted a lot of that down. So if you haven't got it, can we? Is there an addition to the condition on the drivers to go inside? Can we do that, Amanda? Is that possible?
We'd agree it, wouldn't we? Chair, if it helps, we'd agree that.
Okay, brilliant. That's great. Thank you for that. Okay. Any further points of clarification, closing remarks? Anybody want to make any? George, I can see your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask the applicant, how much space have you got in the waiting area?
How much space have you got in the waiting area?
You mean the takeaway sites?
Yes.
Takeaway site, they can go up to 10,
10.
15 people.
Mr. Erdogan says that we can probably get 10 to 15 people in the takeaway, but we don't envisage all that at one time.
Okay.
Is that adequate, George?
Yes, I think so. Normally they would have about 10 riders if it's a busy place at any one time. So I got space. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Amanda, did you hear my question about the condition on the delivery drivers going inside to collect the food?
Yes, I've got that. Yes.
Brilliant. Excellent. Okay, so we'll just maybe go to closing remarks now. I mean, you probably made them already, but I'll just bring in Mr. Hopkins to start with.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, as you said, the on sales and food within the restaurant per the amended request. We're happy with the drivers inside, off sales till 00:30. Take on board what the councillor said about 2 acoustic musicians. I think you can work with that, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and music to go on till 1 o'clock. That's basically where I think we are.
Okay, great, fantastic. Thank you for that. And Channing.
Chair, nothing really further to add other than what I've added already at this stage.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And PC Griggs.
Yeah, nothing further from me. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, appreciate the concessions that have been made on.
Yeah, excellent. And finally, George.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you everyone for that. I think we've concluded the discussion phase and the closing remarks. I don't think there's any points of final clarification unless members raise their hand. The best with the Faulkners business. We wish you every success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and Happy New Year to you all as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
See you later. Okay, folks. I wonder, should we take a little break? Just a comfort break. Just because I know that I need to go to the loo. So maybe if we take a comfort break, everyone for 5 minutes. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see everyone in 5 minutes time. Thank you very much for the next agenda item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair, I'm gonna remain in the meeting just for observation, but I'm not gonna participate.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's 5 minutes. Thank you everyone who wasn't on the call. We just took a quick comfort break there. So welcome everyone. Welcome back those who had the comfort break, and welcome back those who were taking a little break during the first item. I think at this stage, I'm just getting my papers intact. I think we'll just go around the virtual room
Sorry,
again.
Chair. Can we just do the exclusion, go into private session? If you can read the resolution in the chair's briefing.
Yep, sorry about that. So can we agree that the press and the public be excluded from the meeting during the consideration of this agenda item due to the disclosure of exempt information as defined under paragraph 7, part 1, schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972? Can we agree that in the meeting, please?
Agree.
Agree.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll just wait